nice quiet morning out here.
There you go, sweetie. Carolyn, you see? Huh? Where's the baby?
So again, there was a little bit more arch to that. Humpback whales will raise their tails when they dive, but if they don't need to, they don't. And so if you're kind of like just taking a snooze or just kind of resting at the surface, which at least when we first came up, that's what the whale was doing. But if they're also doing shallow dives, which is where Captain Matt, we were just saying, that's where we see if the food items that we have been seeing, they've been seeing on the fish finder, which looks directly under us, and that's the only thing we can see underwater that way. It's been from about 150 feet up, and we are in almost 300, almost 350 feet of water. And it's also, as we're waiting for this whale to come up too, just, eyes around too, because they often are alone. It's not unusual for them to be alone, but they may not be the only one within sight, especially since we can't see two forever today. So just saying. It's just worth keeping an eye on the neighborhood as well. So this is a humpback, and that sort of bumpy dorsal fin is what they get their name from. Their Latin name actually means big winged New Englander, because they're talking about these huge long white pectoral fins that they have. So 30 to 50 foot humpback, 40 to 50 foot, adult, and they have these really long 10, 12 foot long big white front flippers, and they're very maneuverable for a big whale. They can turn some tighter circles that they can do some maneuvering. And they have plenty of water, as well has plenty of water under us to maneuver in too, so it could come up anywhere.
So can I take a picture of the These are options.
So typical dive time is about 5 to 10 minutes, but it can be more. Definitely, we've had some humpback whales doing some 15-minute dives and coming up a long way away, but they're also just working and traveling more underwater, so we'll just have to see. But that's part of what you're doing, is you want to be really careful. Again, we talked about a little bit about whale sense and the guidelines. And basically, this is what we've always done, is you watch to see what they're doing. Again, a lot of times, the best thing for us to do is just sit quiet and just see, because you don't know where this whale is coming up. It could travel in the same direction. It very much might not. And if it chooses to come up super close to us and check us out at will, they're not always curious about us. They know we're here. We're a jet drive boat. We don't have propellers back there. We have jets, but they know we're here. They're very, very aware of their environment, and we are just a little floating part of it out here. That's our goal. So just watch and see. We're coming up right next to the boat on the left-hand side. And we're coming up with mud on our nose, okay. So just off to the left of us here, right next to the boat.
Can't see anything.
Going down underneath. It's kind of headed down under. Looks like we might come out on the right-hand side, hard to say. But we got mud on our head, so we're finding something down there near the bottom. That's what it looked like. And it might come out on the right-hand side, might not. We're just going to find out. It's kind of where it was headed, but we'll find out.
Eyes up for the whale, bud.
Just see his tail.
Yeah, it's super cool. And that's why we sit, you know, because you just, sometimes the best thing to do is just be our little floating island and just be here. So we'll see what happens next. Very cool. Oh, cool. Cool. Oh, so Captain Matt can see the whale about 50 feet under us on the sounder right now. It makes a whale shape. And he was saying it looks like there's something else with it, so he wasn't sure about that. So I guess we'll find out. And if that something needs to breathe air, we might see it. If it doesn't, fish don't have to come up if they don't want to. But whales will. That's cool.
Turn the boat.
Here's. I don't want you in this.
There we are. Just right off, right up top.
There he is.
I saw it.
Did you see him?
Yeah.
There he is.
Get a picture, Frank.
Wow.
Get a picture, get a picture, get a picture.
Look at that.
Wow, man.
Did you get a picture?
There it is. Look at the blow.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we might. I'm not sure. We're looking at this going, is that the same
Yeah,
dorsal
that's a
fin?
humpback.
Yeah, there's a different angle on it, but still.
Jimmy, it's right here.
I think so. I think we're just getting a different angle, but you always kind of want to make sure too.
Right there. It's right where that shiny water is.
I think it is. I think we're just looking at a different angle. You can identify them with the dorsal fin. And obviously, one of the things we just double check is to make, obviously we've got really good visibility here. But even so, just double checking to make sure, are we looking at the same whale? I think the spots are good. But the whale that we, not so much the whale that's right around us here, but the one we first saw when we first came up, just making sure. Yes. So cool. And again, that's what we want to do. We just want to be here. This is up in the whale. If it didn't want to be near us, it wouldn't be.
We gotta listen to the whale.
Sometimes you wonder, it's like, okay, there's all these funny little mammals up here that are looking down and yelling. And
There he is.
get a good, get a good look down whale nostrils there. And
Cool.
There's
Get
a
it,
tail.
get
Look
it,
at
get it,
that.
get the picture.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it on video. I can take a still of the video.
I know.
That's a big tail. You see it?
That's about 10, 12 feet across.
He's a friendly whale.
We got a tail.
Yeah, you take the picture.
You climb up and you see.
Yeah.
You don't even need the binoculars. You see so close. Mine's a friendly whale.
Awesome.
Wow. We finally did it.
Yeah.
Finally saw a whale.
We didn't see one in Washington State, but we saw one here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he.
Did you get that picture? Yeah, we did not.
so what Iris is doing up here, and I'm just taking pictures too. But taking pictures of the underside of that humpback whale's fluke or tail. That's how you can identify it. And so it varies completely amongst individuals. They can be almost completely all black or all white, but like this one, kind of in between. And the pattern stays consistent throughout their lives. So you can identify them here, there being the Caribbean for starters. So that's how we know they go back and forth from hour to hour, day to day, and obviously year to year as well. So we do see some of the same whales here in our part of the Gulf of Maine. We see new ones too, and younger ones. And whales do move around. There's feeding areas in the southern Gulf of Maine, there's here, and then up in the Bay of Fundy in Canada. So sometimes we have whales who spend a bunch of time in kind of our part of the Gulf of Maine. Whales that spend more time down south, and they come up here in the southern Gulf of Maine, not south, but and sometimes Bay of Fundy, just they move around, they go where the food is. Sometimes they seem to have favorite areas, sometimes they seem to have some favorite associations, but again, they don't have the same kind of social structure that dolphins do and other toothed whales do. But that's how you can start to learn a lot more about them, and started doing that back in the 1970s here at the beginnings of College of the Atlantic and the very beginnings of Allied Whale. The idea that Steve Katona and others were working with the idea that maybe that actually would work. Obviously, it doesn't bother the whales, so you just have to get close enough to get the picture and do what we're doing right now. And so that works. And they started back in the 1970s with about 100 individuals for the North Atlantic humpback whale catalog. It's now up over about 12,000. Wow. And that's the whole North Atlantic, that's not just here. Obviously, the Gulf of Maine, we are a subset of that. And Iris has on her iPad a subset of the subset, and can look up the flukes, and you can look at the pattern. And they have names, they have numbers, they all have catalog numbers, but they all have names. The names are based on something hopefully identifiable in the field. Sometimes that's a bit of a stretch. The hardest ones to identify are actually the black ones, because they'll have a few little white spots, and it's just hard to get a good look at them when you're out here. But it can be done. And again, you can identify them from the dorsals. It's just harder because the dorsals, scars, things like that, are unique as well. But that, once a young whale, they're 2 or 3 years old. Sometimes you can identify calves too, because they do have some distinctive parts about themselves. But the pattern doesn't usually settle until after the first few years, to real black and white and solid. And they can gain injuries and scars and things like that, but that pattern stays. So, pretty cool way to identify them. When people were first doing photos of whales out here, of course you shoot film for a lot of those years, which is kind of interesting to do. When I first started coming out with my allied whale friends in the 1980s, we were shooting pictures of fin whales. And they don't give you the tail. You're looking at the sides of the whale. Fin whales are asymmetrically colored. They're white on the right-hand side up by the mouth, and they're dark on the other side. They have some lighter shadings, some chevron-shaped shadings and things like that. And they're a little more challenging to identify. We don't know as much about fin whales because of that, one of the major reasons. They also just spend more time out in the open ocean, and there's just fewer humans out there, and definitely fewer humans with cameras taking identification photos of them. But with the humpbacks, we've learned an awful lot through this whole process of identification, and every time we come out here, we learn something new and add it to the catalog and what we know about them. The way the catalog is set up too, it's set up they are divided up, and the gross divisions are from all white, type 1 to all black, type 5, and then obviously in the middle you kind of have sort of more white.
There it is. What is that?
More black.
That is huge.